to the Provo Library podcast. I'm Erika Hill. I'm the Community Relations Manager.
And I'm Carla Gordon. I'm the Library Director.
And we are here to talk about library things.
As usual.
As usual. We're going to start with a question that was submitted by a listener, which always makes us very excited.
We have listeners.
We don't know all of who you are, but we're happy that you exist.
Yes.
So this comes to us from, should I say the person's name?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't know.
You know who you are. And thank you for submitting this. Okay. She says, I, like many, was concerned to hear about the changes to federal funding of the Institute of Museum and Library Services. I'd love to hear more about what this means for libraries, particularly Provo Library. Politics aside, I think it would be interesting to learn about how libraries are federally funded and the history of the IMLS. We're not going to get into the history of IMLS. I'm going to tell you that right now. But we are going to address this question. I know local funding was talked about last year when the City Council made decisions, but how does federal funding impact Provo Library? What are those funds used for? What services would need to be cut as a result of this? And what is the status of this new executive order? So let's jump right in.
I mean, I'm not going to try to give a status of any executive order because they change hourly, it seems. But I will say, I mean, the short answer is we rely very little upon federal funding at all. And we are worried about IMLS like losing their funding because they do some really important things. And there are museums and libraries that rely on that funding a lot more than us. So where it will impact us is mostly through the state library. Any IMLS funding that we would ever get is managed through the Utah State Library. And that money that they get at different times, actually it affects Libby is probably where people would notice it the most. Just that money helps us buy more books. So it's not going to like get rid of Libby or anything like that, but it might make hold longer, which isn't amazing. But I'm really not sure how much of that, like how much will be noticeable. I'm not sure what the effect is going to be. I think right now the state library is still trying to figure out like what money is coming from different, because they get a lot of money from state as well. But where the state is getting less federal funding, you just never know where it's all going to boil
how
down.
that trickles down.
The other thing is there are several grants that are run through the state library that is federal funding, and we have taken advantage of those. Let's see, LSTA grant, which I should know, LSTA, Library Services and Technology
Act.
Sure. I think that's what it is.
I'm pretty sure it
but
is.
Those are the kind of things. It's like new and exciting services. So it helped with our van. It helped us get our Children's Library of Things that we just got.
The pianos?
The pianos for our piano lab. So they're kind of, we use that money. It's kind
lab
of
equipment.
Fun money. Yeah.
The
cameras.
I don't think it paid for these cameras, but it did definitely pay for these tripods.
Yeah. So when we want to do something exciting that's not necessarily in the budget, it's a one-time thing, we try really hard not to use grant funding for anything that's ongoing. So it has to usually be items, like things we can add to the collection or services and stuff like that. So we're not sure where that is at this moment, but it just kind of limits our ability to do more stuff. There's not like, I'm not going to my budget right now and starting to cross things out to try to meet or to
cut.
Yeah. For this federal money.
Yeah.
That is being cut.
Yeah.
Is that?
I think that's, I mean, that is the answer.
That is the answer. It shouldn't affect us too much, but it is really, it's sad because there are libraries and museums especially that really rely on that money. So I know that a lot of them are scrambling. There's several grants that we have done in the past or organizations that have kind of helped us out in the past, and they're reaching out and saying, so our money's gone, we don't know what the status is. And so it's just going to kind of pull back again on the extras, kind of places where we could go for more funding for
and just
for
that
things.
that startup money, because I think about the Basement Creative Lab, which we use that equipment to film this podcast. I think we did use an LSTA grant to help with the initial setup of everything. And now we have maintenance money worked in. And so that's fine.
I'm pretty sure I used it for to start up the book club sets. I think that was an LSTA grant.
The indestructible book club bags.
Indestructible book club bags. I think those things are like 20 years old. And I bought like enough to replace, and we still have brand new ones we've never used. I think we
are coming, because we've sold so many of them.
We've sold some of them, but also we found other uses for them because the outreach librarians use them a lot. So but 20 years, like I just thought they would wear out and we'd have to replace them, but they are really hardy.
I don't know if they make them that way anymore.
I don't think they do.
But they're gonna outlast us at this library.
And I do really like them, but I don't absolutely love the clip art logo that I think it
can't be held accountable for the things you did 20 years ago, Carla.
We didn't have a graphic design wise. Then. It was just clip art. It was what I had anyway.
Yeah. But this question leads us kind of into a bigger topic of what does it mean to support your library and how can people support their libraries? I sent out an email a little bit ago, and so if you're both an email reader and a podcast listener, sorry if this is repetitive. Hopefully it'll be more interesting because Carla's here too.
Oh, sure.
I've heard people say in the past, you know, when they're talking about supporting libraries, they're like, oh, your library's funding is dependent on how many things you check out. So make sure you go and check things out because that's part of how they figure out the library's funding. And at least for us, that's not directly true.
I mean, for sure, if people aren't using services or aren't coming in, like it's hard to go and ask, say like, please give us funding, please give us the same amount of funding if we're serving fewer people. So of course, like,
usage matters.
Yeah, usage definitely matters, but not directly.
It's not like, you checked out 50 books, so the city council's giving us $50. They give us $1 per book you check out.
That would be great.
That would.
Actually, not $1. I mean, because our checkout's about 1.7. We'd need about $3 per checkout.
If we got $3 for every item the library checked out, we would never have to ask for a tax increase. So let's propose that funding model.
That's not okay.
It's not going to happen.
No, but it is an interesting, like, how do we decide, like, what do those things, like, why does that matter that people are checking things out? So it's not a direct fiscal kind of thing, but it helps us set priorities, I think, is the most important part of that. Is if we buy a book and nobody ever checks it out, then we know don't buy that author. Or this topic isn't popular at the library, but programming as well. If we do a program and nobody comes, that was a bad idea. If we do a program and lots of people show up, then we should probably do more of that.
Well, by that logic, it should be fairy tea all the time.
It would be fairy tea. And then there's the limits that you run up against. That's true. But we love we love feedback, like just telling people what you want, coming in, letting us know. There's forms online that you can request book titles, and our emails are on the website if there's ever suggestions. And we can't do everything, and just because this suggestion is made, we don't jump on it.
It's true.
We were teasing again about the cake pans.
Cake pans. Somebody, if you're a longtime listener, you might know that this is a thing that Carla says no to.
I say no to the cake
pans.
And
I tease you, but I support that no. But it does seem like every couple of years, that suggestion. We just got an email like 2 weeks ago that somebody told a librarian, I don't know if you know about this, but there's libraries that check out cake pans.
And some librarians don't know about it. So,
that's
and
true.
It does seem, I can totally see why somebody would want that. It's not that I'm discounting the desire to have that. It just, for us and our space allotment and how those, it's not a good fit for us. You think of how many different types of shape cakes you would want, and that just takes up a lot of space. And there's the washing. I just don't trust people.
It's the maintenance that kills me. Yeah.
Anyway.
And the storage.
Just because we can't do it doesn't mean we don't like to hear about it. So, like, if you're looking at another library does something, I'm always happy to hear what people are thinking might be useful to them in their lives. because we guess a lot, again, just based on what we do here or what people are responding to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Those guesses are based on usage data.
Yeah. So using the library is definitely a way of supporting your library.
Mm-hmm.
And we love it when people use the library.
Okay. So that's number one, to support your library. This library. Well,
Let's speak for all.
I speak for all libraries. I've contacted them all.
They all want you to use them.
They all want you to use. Actually, I feel very confident in that answer.
Yeah.
Every library that exists wants you.
Some of those special libraries, I think they don't want anyone touching their books. I don't know.
No, then why?
I don't know. Anyways, okay. I'm just going to say not
every public library.
Yes. You can say that.
We can say that. Okay. Number 2, to support your library.
Tell a friend.
Tell a friend. I was like, I know.
You know.
I know what I said.
Yeah. Like our best promotions are word of mouth. You may think that they're the library emails.
Close second.
Our best is word of mouth. And that you can only get by having something worth talking about and making sure you're getting your message out as far as you can spread it, and then hoping that it's exciting enough and fun enough and people are motivated to tell other people, because we only get emails to people who have library cards.
That's true.
Or, I mean, sometimes if they sign up for the email,
sure.
I suppose, but mostly it's just library card. Mostly it's just library card holders. So your neighbor that might not have a library card may not know about this thing that could really help them or could be really helpful to their kids or interesting, or like they're looking for something to do with people and we have a craft and chat kind of a thing. Like they might not be thinking of the library for those types of things. And if you see a need and you're like, oh, the library can help, telling people about that just goes a long, long ways to helping us get our message out.
And I just think that you should never assume that anybody knows what the library has to offer, because sometimes, like my own family, I have worked here for 12 years and every once in a while I will be at family dinner and I'll say something and they'll go, the library does that? If my job is library marketing, and my own parents were very late to the, like, oh, I can listen to audiobooks on my phone? Yeah, you can. Yeah, so you should never assume. Right now in Provo, we're seeing about a 42% of households have an active library card.
Which means they've used them in the last year.
Mm-hmm. And to be fair, that's actually very good.
It's very, very good.
Compared to a lot of cities in the nation.
The average is closer to 30%. So we really are doing well, but our goal is...
want more.
We want 100%.
So tell your friends. Tell your friends about the library, because you just never know who hasn't realized that they don't have to pay $15 a month to get an audiobook to listen to, or that they don't have to buy a telescope. They can get one from the library, or that you don't have to buy a radon kit. Unfortunately, as I have discovered in the past 3 days, you can check out a radon detector from the library. The library does nothing to help mitigate the $2,500 for radon mitigation in your basement.
But now you know, that you need the mitigation.
I am grateful for the radon detector.
Yeah.
Not so grateful for the radon.
I have one at home and I haven't turned it on yet, but I'm going to check.
Because I made Carla paranoid.
She did. Also, I took home a telescope for the first time. Actually, it was for the second time. I took it home a few months ago and it was cloudy the whole time. And so I brought it back. And then I checked it out a few weeks ago. And it was great because my daughter was entertained for about 15 minutes before she moved on to something else. And I hadn't spent money buying a whole telescope for that 15 minutes of entertainment.
Yeah.
I'll do it again because she gets excited about it. But it was nice to just have this new kind of exciting thing we could talk about. She's been learning about astronomy at school and stuff. And so it was fun and it was free.
I did find that the telescope worked a lot better when you pointed the right end at the sky.
Little things.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine. I'm good at many things, and astronomy is apparently not one of them.
Anyway, yeah.
It's good. Okay.
Tell the stories.
Tell your neighbors. Number 3, give us money.
I mean, this kind of goes to the original question, which is like, where are libraries getting their funding? And different libraries get funding different ways. I don't know of a library that will turn away a donation. So, like, if it is something you really care about and you're looking for places to put money, public libraries are always, I wish I knew the numbers. I should have looked them up. But like, when $1 spent at the library, like, just explodes in value to the community, because, you know, you spend $15 on a book, you have 30 people check it out. And I can't do that math quickly in my head, but it's a lot. Like, it returns a lot of value to the community. So it is always a place where you can donate. There was something else I was going to say about that. Anyway.
It may have been that there's multiple ways that you can, I mean, we had our book ball last year. We'll do it again. So that's kind of an event thing. We've had people do, in lieu of flowers, please donate to the Provo Library. That's cool.
Yeah. That's fun.
We've had, I'm going to be honest, there's a lot about retirement things. There's a lot about telescopes. These are my weaknesses. Telescopes, retirement planning.
Okay.
But in the course of our fundraising last year at the book ball, there was someone who was like, I have this money from this thing that I need to get. And apparently that's a thing. Yeah. If you find yourself with excess retirement money, we will take it.
And the other thing is, like, you can say, like, this is something that's important to me. I would like it to go towards children's books. You can't tell us what to do with it, but you can make a request, and we will do our best to use the money as requested. But there's a lot of things. The donations that we got for the book ball, we bought new shades in the windows in the ballroom. If you're up there, they look so good. We had hideous, I don't know if this window is visible back here, but these 1-inch terrible blinds up in the ballroom, and they were like broken and hanging, and it just was terrible. Anyways.
Nothing says luxury wedding like broken 1-inch mini blinds.
So we got some new shades that are really pretty, and they look so nice up there, and that was because of money we raised through the book ball. So we'll continue to try to use those monies to improve our facility, kind of do some updating. And so we take money, but also just knowing that your tax money, like, it feels weird sometimes to ask for the money.
Right.
Which we're not really asking. We're just saying, if you want to give money, you can. But we already take, residents' money in the form of taxes, and that we so appreciate. And last year when we were asking for money, we had such an outpouring of support from our community, and that meant so much to us. And that is another way that you support us without even knowing. It's just, you pay your taxes and that money comes to us. And again, we use it as much as we can to support the community in all of these different ways. So we're very grateful.
Very good.
Yeah.
So support your library. Check things out. Tell a friend.
If you feel so inclined.
Give us money.
Give donations. There's also like volunteering that can be giving back to the to the library.
I know. I feel like these are the numbers of things I'm willing to talk about. 3, 5, or 10.
Oh, and
I'm not willing to talk about 4.
Okay. Forget that.
You can volunteer if you want.
You can volunteer.
Cool. Should we talk about books?
Let's talk about some books.
Okay. What are you reading?
Or what did you just finish? No, I finished. It's called The 4 Red Sweaters. I don't think there's a "the." I think it's just called 4 Red Sweaters.
4 Red Sweaters.
Powerful True Stories of Women and the Holocaust by Lucy Adlington. I knew I wouldn't remember her name because it's nonfiction. I never remember authors unless they're like big. Anyway, so this was about women in the Holocaust, but kind of focusing on clothing and how that was a big part of things were going on. And it made me feel super spoiled because they talked about, like, back in the day, if your sweater started wearing out, like, you unwound it and you would knit it again into a different kind of sweater. And people would just buy clothing and wear it until it dies. And I have a closet full of clothes that I don't wear nearly to death. So anyways, but they had these 4 women who all had red sweaters or were connected to a red sweater. It's kind of how they tied them all together, but who were either like asked to knit in the concentration camps. There was one girl who went to England and had to leave her family back in Germany, and how she survived the Holocaust and her family maybe didn't. Like it was, I mean, it's
I didn't think it was going to be a happy book.
It's not necessarily a happy book. The one thing, I really, really liked it. The stories were great. I felt like all of the people that she was talking about, like you just felt for them, obviously. I did feel like the author tried really hard to convince me that the Holocaust was horrible. And I felt like I was convinced already. And so there were a few times where I'm like, yeah, I know. It was terrible. This is a bad thing. But it was her stories, the people that she found to write about, just I found really fascinating. And it was just kind of a different angle. I really liked it.
Another World War II book.
I know.
You always
There's
think.
so many. I always think I've read them all. And then I was like, no, this is a different viewpoint.
I just finished not a World War II book, though it does. The stone touches briefly in World War II.
Oh.
I just read at Carla's recommendation. Did you talk about this, The Glassmaker?
No, I think I might have.
I think you talked about it on here. I just read The Glassmaker by Tracy Chevalier. And it's about, would you believe it, a glassmaker. In, oh boy, Murano? I mean, it's Venice.
Oh, yeah.
But it's not Venice. It's like an island off Venice. But these families that make glass, and it's a weird framing device in the story that she's just like, time passes differently in Venice. So they're like skipping stones. And so you start in like 1400s, like they're talking about Columbus. They're talking about finding new trade routes and how that's going to impact them. And then they go through the plague, and then they touch down like World War I. So anyway, there will be just times in the story when they go, we're skipping again, and time has passed 50 years, and this character has aged 8 years, and you go, okay. It's kind of nice though, because you don't have to get to know, like she can tell this sweeping story that's so much about globalization and industrialization and how that's changed so many things.
Women's roles.
Because the main character is a woman. But you don't have to get to know a new cast of characters every time, because I think that would be exhausting.
It is.
So that's cool. But I mean, I don't know. I already think that there are people who are alive that the world is so disorienting for. Like if you're born during the Great Depression, like thinking how much the world has changed even in that 100 years. And so to think about a character who was born
in 1400
in the 1400s and then is the final chapters are the pandemic.
Yeah.
And so like that's insane.
It is. I just like the full circle of plague to pandemic.
Kind of.
It was
a thing. But I mean, it was really cool.
Yeah.
And great writing, great characters. Love the main character and her struggles and her determination to keep her family together. And yeah,
it's good.
It was really good.
Really
The Glassmaker by Tracy Chevalier. Okay. I have one more like just random thing to say. I'm trying to think if this is just a short or if it's...
I think you should just make it a short.
I have one more random thing to say in a different video. So I think we're going to end that here. Support your library. Thank you for listening.